You're listening to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. This is the podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs who understand that exponential business growth isn't achieved through traditional business tactics alone, but through personal development, the ultimate leverage point to scale businesses beyond conventional limits. Hosted by Erica Ferenzi, featuring lessons from the Practical, Profitable Mindset program, created by RJon Robins, Alejandra Leibovich, Erica, and Oscar Ferenzi. And here's your host, Erica Ferenzi.
So welcome to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. This week, you will hear from RJon Robins talk about the truth of what profit really means. The question that I have for you is, why is that so many entrepreneurs say that they want growth while subconsciously avoiding the very actions that create that growth? In this week's episode, RJon will explore one of the most uncomfortable but transformational topics in business, and that is the fear of profit. At first, the idea might sound strange. Why would anybody fear making more money or creating more success or building a more profitable business? But this lesson will reveal that fear often hides between every procrastination, every avoidance, overthinking, and every hesitation. One of the biggest teachings from this week will be that avoidance creates dangerous downward spirals. When entrepreneurs avoid uncomfortable problems, they lose clarity, they become less prepared, and create even more fear. But when they confront problems directly, they gain knowledge, confidence, and the ability to take action. Another lesson on this episode will be understanding what profit truly is. RJon will explain that profit is just not money. Profit is the result of exchanging something of lower value to you for something of higher value to you. And that is not only monetary. It can be financial, it can be personal, it can be professional. And in every voluntary exchange, both people will profit. Always. If you don't believe me, just wait until you hear the episode. Finally, this episode will highlight the importance of creating a culture inside of your business where problems are welcomed instead of hidden. Entrepreneurs must continuously encourage employees to speak up, to report issues, and bring uncomfortable truths forward. Because if you don't, your business will begin to suffer, and every business will suffer if the owner stops pursuing the truth. Today's lesson will challenge entrepreneurs. It will challenge you to stop running from discomfort and start leaning into the conversations, the ideas, and the decisions that will create real growth. Because this is the thing. At the other side of fear, there is only opportunity. Let's listen from RJon. Let's dive in.
This week is all about fear. And so don't be afraid, but this week is all about fear. Don't be afraid. This week's all about fear. I want to encourage everyone just conceptually, it's okay to be afraid of what you don't know. What I don't know scares me. But don't be afraid of what you do know. Be empowered by what you do know. If you know something, even if you don't like it, you can do something about it. The problem is, if you don't know about something, then you are unempowered. You can't do something if you don't know something. And so this is why avoidance is it has such a negative downward spiral, because you fear something, so you avoid it. And because you don't know it, you can't do something about it. And that just creates more fear around it, which makes you want to avoid it even more. And then if something goes wrong, you're completely unprepared and your worst fears actually come true, which then creates false evidence that there was reason to be afraid in the first place. Whereas if you lean into it and you investigate it and you have the courage to look at it, then just by looking at it and thinking it through, it tends to reduce the fear of it. And then by looking at it, if there's a problem, you are then empowered to do something about it, which then, of course, makes it better. Because as we all know, inside of every problem, there is an opportunity, and all opportunities come gift wrapped inside of problems. And so the point is, if you're afraid of something and your reaction is to run away from it, to avoid it, you're actually perpetuating a very, very negative, unprofitable spiral in your whole life. And that same spiral goes in two directions. The spiral goes up, the spiral goes down. And to the degree that you lean into, investigate, find out, insist, demand to know what's true, especially when you don't like it. And this is something you got to really understand if you have employees, because most employees, they think that you don't want to know about problems, and they don't want to be the one that tells you about problems because they themselves are uncomfortable and afraid. And so you have to we have to really, really, really work hard. And as your business grows, this becomes one of your hardest jobs. One of your hardest jobs is to keep demonstrating to your employees how much you want to know about problems. And it takes work, and you have to control yourself so that when they bring you problems, the messenger doesn't get killed, but rather the messenger gets rewarded. And then even though you think that you've said it, you have to keep repeating it, because I promise you, they forget. This is a completely foreign concept to most people walking this planet. As an entrepreneur, you must embrace this concept, and you have to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And you have to keep finding ways to demonstrate over and over and over again to your employees that you embrace bad news, that you embrace learning about problems, and that you reward and value and appreciate those who have the courage to bring problems to your attention. You have to keep repeating it again and again and again. And I promise you, I fucking promise you, please pay attention. I promise you, the second, the minute, the day you stop repeating this, you will be bit in the ass. I promise you. I could give you more examples than you have time to listen to today, over and over and over again. Your most valued employees will forget that you want to know about problems. Your most trusted employees will forget that you want to know about problems. The employees who used to bring problems to your attention and got rewarded and thanked and appreciated for bringing problems to your attention because of things that are completely outside of your control, that you know nothing about going on in their life, that has nothing to do with your business and nothing to do with you. Something will happen, and all of a sudden that switch will get turned off, and they will suddenly stop bringing problems to your attention. You have to go after the truth with a club. You have to keep going after it again and again and again. You never, ever, ever stop going after it. The minute you stop going after the truth will run away from you. And when the truth runs away from you, then your business will be in trouble. Most people are actually afraid of making a profit, which is ironic and particularly problematic because businesses must make a profit. That's the whole purpose of having a business. But the fact is that most people are afraid of making a profit, not just most business owners. So let's talk about, first off, the definition of profit. Just to refresh everyone's recollection, you may already know this, but in case you need a refresher, profit is an effect. It is not a cause. Profit is the effect of an exchange. Anytime you exchange something that is of a lower value to you to get something that is of a higher value to you, emphasis to you, you will be making a profit. Anytime you exchange something of a higher value to get something of a lower value, you are, by definition, making a loss. Now, why would anyone knowingly, intentionally, consciously, rationally make a loss? And that's kind of exactly the point. It's not an intelligent action. It is a fear-driven behavior. So profit can be financial. You invest $1, you get back $2. You make a financial profit. You invest $1 on labor cost, you get back $5 of value from the employee. You have made a profit. Here's the thing. The employee invests an hour of their time, a day of their time, a unit of their energy, a brain cell, whatever it is, and they get back that dollar of salary. They have also made a profit. Throughout all of human history, there has never once, not ever, been a single exchange. And I would challenge anyone to think of one, and I would give you $1,000 if you can find me an example, because I've never been able to think of an example or find an example throughout years and years and years and years and years of study and talking this through with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. There has never once ever, not ever been a single voluntary exchange between two able-minded adults. Children are different. Invalids are different. There's never once ever been an exchange between two able-minded adults, of sound mind, adults, where both of them didn't make a profit. Every voluntary exchange causes a profit. Anytime you find an exchange that does not cause a profit, it was by definition not a voluntary exchange. You will always find an involuntary element in any exchange where both parties to it didn't make a profit. So profit is where we exchange something we value less to get something we value more. We value something less, we exchange it, we get something we value more. If I value the red marble less and I value the green marble more, and I exchange the red marble for the green marble, I have made a profit. Now flip it around. If you value the green marble less and you value the red marble more, and we make the exchange, you also make a profit. If you valued your marble more than the one that I'm offering you in exchange, you wouldn't exchange it. You wouldn't make the exchange voluntarily. I could force you to make the exchange. I could trick you to make the exchange. I could lie to you to make the exchange. I could mislead you to make the exchange. I could manipulate, but you wouldn't voluntarily make the exchange if you weren't making a profit. So we can make a financial profit. We can make a personal profit. We can make a professional profit. And the thing is, you can't evaluate the value that the other person is getting or giving based on your own values. And this is where people get very tripped up and confused, and it creates all kinds of management problems because you start trying to, and sales problems too, because you start trying to substitute your values for the other person's values. And if you substitute your values for the other person's values, then the exchange feels bad to you. You'll feel bad because if you value the green marble more than you value the red marble, and you impose your values on the other person and allow the other person to exchange the red marble for the green marble, then you feel bad because it's like, wow, I value the green marble more than the red marble. They value the green marble more than the red marble. Why would they possibly exchange the red marble for the green marble? Then you feel bad because you feel like you're tricking them or taking advantage of them or hurting them. But when you realize that because of whatever is going on in their life, they value the marbles differently than you do, then you can both make an exchange and you both make a profit. Very, very important to get out of your own head when engaging in exchanges with other people. To the extent you can get into their head, understand how they see the world and their values and why they value what they value the way they value it, it makes it much easier to make exchanges, which are mutually profitable, which remember, all voluntary exchanges are mutually profitable. So we can make a financial profit, obviously, we can make a personal profit, and we can make a professional profit. You are either consciously aware that you have some fear or discomfort around profit, or you are the sucker. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole, because I am afraid of profit also. We're all afraid of profit. I've had this conversation with all of my mentors, and all of my mentors in their private moments, we all acknowledge that we have some fear at some level of profit. And anyone who tells you that they're not is either lying to themselves or they're trying to lie to you. Everyone has some fear of profit, even the wealthiest people. I personally am friends with people who have a net worth of over $100 million. Multiple people that I am friends with. I have lunch with them. We hang out. They have a personal net worth of over $100 million. The wealthiest person that I know has a net worth of over $1 billion. And we're all afraid of profit to some extent. I would posit for your consideration. I have no way of proving this, but I believe that it is to the extent that we acknowledge our fear of profit that actually allows us to make more profit. Hiding out, running away from, denying, ignoring our fear of profit keeps us trapped in the fear of profit. So that's why this week we're going to focus on fear of profit. So let's begin with the premise. Are we afraid of profit? So back in law school, we studied contracts, offer acceptance, consideration, and assent, also known as a meeting of the minds. Actually, the technical term is assent. Sometimes people know and acknowledge that they agreed to the terms of a contract, and the dispute is going to be over performance. But sometimes people will argue that there was no contract because there was no assent. There was no meeting of the minds. If you already acknowledge, if you recognize and acknowledge that you have some fear of profit, hold tight, pay attention. This will help you manage your staff. This will help you manage your family. This will help you manage yourself when the day comes that your subconscious really starts kicking it up and you forget you're afraid of profit, or your subconscious will one day try to convince you that you're hot shit and you've somehow, because you have $1 million business, I'm no longer afraid of profit because I'm too cool for school. And that is when your subconscious has you set up to stop and to fail. If my friends who have a net worth of 9 figures are afraid of profit, if I'm telling you I got a $30+ million business and I'm afraid of profit, if I'm telling you every single successful entrepreneur I've ever worked with, we all have some fear of profit. If you catch yourself believing that you're not, understand you are in the danger zone. So please pay attention. So let's talk about how you prove assent. How do you prove a meeting of the minds when there isn't any clear, unambiguous language? What if the contract is oral and maybe there's not even anything in writing at all? Because we are making contracts with ourselves all the time. Every time we make a plan, we're making a contract with ourselves. So here's the point. Assent technically is measured by the outward manifestations of the parties rather than the inner, private, or secret intentions of the parties. It's basically you prove assent by the way that the people behave. So assent may be found, I'm reading just some legal stuff just to set the stage. Assent may be found when a reasonable person in the situation would have believed that there was assent, even if one party lacked subjective intent to be found. In other words, we look to the conduct of the parties to determine whether there's a meeting of the minds, whether there's assent. Okay, so let's look at your conduct this week, today. Later in the week, we're going to talk about how to get past it and what to do to move beyond the fear and really, truly go after profit. But first, let's have the courage, and it will take some courage. And I'm very sure that some of you will find a really, really good reason not to do this week's exercise. Understand that if you don't do this week's exercise, it's because you don't have the courage. That's the explanation. Anything else you tell yourself is bullshit. Let's invest some time this week to investigate if there are outward manifestations. So there's two parts of this exercise. Some of you who are not consciously aware that you have a fear of profit, you are going to be doing the exercise in order to find evidence. You're going to be looking to find the evidence that you're actually afraid of profit. And I promise you, the evidence is all around you. Some of you recognize and acknowledge that you have a fear of profit, and you're also going to find the evidence. In other words, you're going to find the conduct that a third party, a finder of facts, a jury, a judge, would look at these facts, look at this behavior, look at this conduct, and say, that's the evidence I need to know that this person is afraid of profit. And the reason why you're going to find that evidence, and we're going to just make a list of the evidence you find this week, is because you don't have to actually cure the problem. You don't have to solve the problem, right? This is the difference between Freud and Jung. Freud was the father of modern psychology. Jung was the father of modern coaching. Freud said we have to find the cause, we have to fix the cause, and then once we find the cause and fix the cause, the behavior can change and improve. Jung said we don't have to find the cause of the problem. We just have to find the problem and change the behavior, and the behavior will make things get better. And I come from the school of Jung, not from the school of Freud. So we're going to focus on finding the evidence, finding the behavior which demonstrates, which evidences a fear of profit. And then later in the week, we're going to focus on things we can do, practical things we can do beginning this week, right away, to begin changing up that behavior so that we can start to make more profit in our businesses. Now, I started off this lesson with a whole big talk about having the courage to go after problems, to find out the truth, to figure out what's really going on so you can do something about it. Now we've got a little bit of time for Q&A.
I actually was thinking about this, and then the subject today gave me a lot of clarification, but I don't know how to now overcome this fear. So I spoke with somebody that I was looking for to hire as my dragon. She's Armenian, she's well educated, she overqualifies for the position. She speaks 5 languages, she has great education.
Right. Blah, 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 blah. She's awesome.
Blah, 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 blah. Yes. So when I spoke to her, I was thinking, okay, she's who I need. She's going to be great dragon. But then I told her that I think you overqualify for this position because she wants to go to law school. She wants to become an attorney here. She's new in this country.
Yeah. So what better opportunity for her to become an amazing lawyer than to work inside a law firm on the front lines. And then someday she could have her own successful business because she'll understand exactly what it takes to sell legal services. So great.
Because I'm going to offer her $2,500 because to offer her more than $2,500 is not profitable for me. And there will be
$2,500
a month.
That makes no economic sense whatsoever. From what I know about your business, I know that makes no sense.
Okay.
I know that the financials will not support what you just said. I know the financials will completely contradict what you just told me, which tells me that there's fear. I mean, I'm not criticizing you. I'm telling you, this is an example of you are saying things that I know don't make any sense. And I know the reason you're saying them is because you're afraid. I understand that.
Why?
You could pay her $10,000 a month and make a huge profit on her if she's good.
Okay.
What's your average case or matter worth?
For state cases, it's $8,500.
Okay. And how many prospective new clients do you yourself personally not have time to meet with right now and or not follow up with when they walk out the door and don't hire you?
0 clients not to meet because I meet all prospective clients no matter what. And follow up 50% we don't follow up with.
So how many clients do you not follow up with on the average month?
So the average is about 15 clients.
15 clients. So if she followed up with those 15 clients and brought in 5 of them, that would be 5 times 8,500. She'd bring in an extra $42,000 a month of revenue. And if you increased your fees by 10%, that'd be an extra $46,000 a month of revenue. So if you paid her, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, and she brought in an extra $45,000 to $50,000 a month in revenue. Oh, and by the way, I already know you don't meet with all the clients. You only meet with all the clients you meet with. You don't meet with all the clients that you could be meeting with if you weren't busy doing everything else you're doing. And all she would be doing is business development, sales, and following up and business development and sales and following up. And oh, by the way, if she was meeting with the clients and you weren't meeting with the clients, you would then have the opportunity to do more marketing. And instead of talking about 30 clients a month, we'd be talking about 50 clients a month. I completely understand it scares the crap out of you. I get it. I know what it feels like to grow your business really, really fast. It's scary.
It absolutely does. Now that part makes sense. Thank you. Then the next fear is, what if she learns all of the great stuff that I'm learning from HTM? I'm paying for it. I'm going to teach her. And then next year she's in law school and she doesn't want to work. Then what? And I'm giving her all the stuff that...
Okay, I'm saying this with love. Okay, how much I like you and how much I respect you. Yes?
Yes.
If you had a witness on the witness stand who said what you just said to me, you would rip them apart. Because what you just said makes no sense at all. Like none, zero, nada, nothing sense. Let's just think this through. What if she learns all this stuff from me? She makes me an extra $50,000 or $60,000 a month of income. So she makes me like an extra $700,000 a year of income. And then she goes to law school and she makes me an extra $700,000 for the first year that she's in law school. And she makes me an extra $700,000 in the second year that she's in law school. And then she makes me an extra $700,000 in the third year she's in law school. And then she decides to start her own law firm and compete with me with all this great information that I trained her on. And she only made me an extra $3 million in the meantime.
Except that when she starts going to law school, she will stop working. So
what? So she only made you $700,000 before she went to law school. So was it better to not? Is it better to love and to lose, or is it better to never love at all?
I will say the second, because I know
it's better to never love at all.
Right.
No, that's the wrong answer. That's not the right answer. The right answer is better to love and to lose than to never love at all. All right. As a practical matter, you've just made up this whole big story of complete and total bullshit out of absolutely nothing. Because for all we know, you're going to hire her and she could do a terrible job. Maybe she'll be great. Maybe she makes you an extra $700,000 and then she quits. And then where will you be? Oh my God. You'll just be there without her, but you'll have an extra $700,000. And oh, by the way, you'll know how to train and manage a person like that so you can then find a replacement. Any way you try to present this to me is not going to make any sense, is the point that I'm trying to make. This is just fear talking. You are talking.
And I understand it's a fear talking. That's why I said this is great topic, because I was thinking about this over the weekend and I was going to bring this up. I'm afraid to hire her. And it's also my ego. I'm afraid for my ego also, because if she leaves me, my ego will be tremendously hurt.
Yeah, because you put your ego into everything. And what if she's not leaving you because it actually has nothing to do with you? What if she's just pursuing her goals and her dreams in life and it actually has nothing? Imagine a person who makes a decision that's not based on you. Imagine a world that doesn't revolve around you. Imagine a world where a person emigrates to this country so that they can have a better life, and then they go to law school so that they can have a better life, and it actually has nothing to do whatsoever with you.
Okay, I'll think about this. I have to sleep on it. I have to process this to understand, because rationally I understand what you are saying. Emotionally, I still don't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here's the point. and I know nothing about this candidate. I'm not saying this because I know anything about this candidate, but assuming that everything you're saying about the candidate is correct and that she's qualified and she's great and she's wonderful and she'd be terrific, just fucking hire her. Stop overthinking this. While you're busy thinking this shit through, someone else is going to hire her. Hire her. What's the worst that could happen? Famous last words, I know. Listen, if you don't hire her, send her to me and I'll take a look. And maybe I'll hire her if she's that good.
Okay.
Because I'd rather love and lose than never love at all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So welcome back. Today's lesson challenged you to take an honest look at the fears that might be quietly limiting your growth. One of the takeaways from this episode that we hope you took is that fear often disguises itself as procrastination, hesitation, perfectionism, or avoidance. Many entrepreneurs say that they want bigger results while simultaneously avoiding the actions, the conversations, and decisions that would actually create those results. Another takeaway that we hope you took is the importance of pursuing truth instead of avoiding problems. RJon emphasized that leaders must build cultures where employees feel safe bringing issues forward. The moment businesses stop seeking the truth, problems begin multiplying behind the scenes. And finally, the episode reinforced the idea of profit as it being not something selfish or negative, but profit being the natural result of creating value through a voluntary exchange. Entrepreneurs who learn to embrace growth, to solve problems, and create value for others will position themselves to build stronger businesses and better lives. Our overall message on this episode is very clear. Fear will shrink opportunities, but courage will always create more growth. The more willing you are to confront uncomfortable truths, the more empowered you become to create meaningful change. And that is what we do here at the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. And now it will be your turn to go take action. Here is to your exponential growth. Stay healthy, stay hungry, and stay focused, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. We encourage you to take action on it today. Share what you've learned with another entrepreneur. Sign up for our newsletter to get bonus content you won't get anywhere else at exponentialentrepreneur.com and subscribe to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast to receive the next episode. Until next time, keep breaking through limiting beliefs and growing exponentially.